Okay, how are we? Let's pick up where we left off from last Thursday. We talked about our first type of. Oh my god, that clock scares the crap out of me every time. I'm gonna burn it. Okay. We talked about our first macromolecule, which was what we consider to be fats, and it's a huge group of atoms all together, all made of carbons, hydrogens, and oxygens. We call them triglycerides because three fatty acids link together to make them. Today, I want to talk about another massive molecule, and this is even bigger than fat molecules, and it's one of the most important things that we, as a living thing, simply need to take in our diet. Plants make these, animals make these, and it's what we call a protein. So if you think back to your little biochem unit in biology, now I want us, again, to be able to identify something as being either a fat molecule or a protein molecule. And so looking at the structure on the left, I just want to point out, you can see that there's C's and H's, and there's also O's, just like what we have in our big, fat molecules, but there's also these N's. In nitrogens, in chem, any group with nitrogen on it, we kind of call it an amino group. So if you think back, hopefully that word amino kind of sounds familiar. Proteins are made up of amino acids that are linked together. So we'll get into it. But again, proteins, if you kind of look at you're mostly protein. All of the enzymes, your hair, which is needing some help, your nails, muscles, skin, your DNA, all your hormones, all of that are proteins. And so in order to keep all of this functioning, we need protein to kind of replenish any that get damaged as we kind of go about our day. So it's super, super important to take in. Like I said, what we consider to be a protein is anytime you have two or more amino acids linked together. And so I think the easiest thing to talk about, instead of looking at this huge massive structure, since they all look so different, is to talk about those building blocks, those pieces. I had said that an amino group is something that has a nitrogen in it. Let me switch colors here so it's a little easier. So we want to look, anytime you really see a nitrogen, probably, at least in this unit, going to be an amino acid. And again, remember last on Thursday, we talked about how a fatty acid has that carboxylic acid groups. Amino acids also have that. That's why we say the term acid at the end of it. So anything that has C's, H's, O's, and N's, sometimes you'll see a sulfur. It's probably either going to be an amino acid or a protein. There are a total of 20 amino acids. So that's it. And if you picture, your DNA has 4. Remember the A, T, G, and C, adenine, thymine, guanine, and is it cytosine? Oh, I'll have to look that one up. I don't remember the names of them, but you have 4, and they link together in an infinite number of combinations, which makes each of us completely unique. So like muscle protein versus like hair protein, they're going to look different because they have different amino acids linked together in different combinations for us. So if we look at structures, this will be part of the piece that you'll be asked to do since we're in this macro big scale molecule unit. I'm not going to ask you to name them individually, but I would like you to be able to go, oh, hey, there's an amino group. If you look at this side, oh, and I keep picking wrong colors or bad colors. If you look at this side, if you look at that side, you'd go, oh, there's an amino group. And oh my gosh, there's a carboxylic acid group. This must be an amino acid. Whoa, amino acid, amino acid, amino acid. And if you look at this whole structure up here, comparing it to that, whoa, look at how complicated this thing is. And then you would go, oh, amino, 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 amino. There must be more than one amino acid linked together. So that makes it a protein. So like I said, there are 20 amino acids, and whenever you take in any food, your body starts to break apart all the food that you eat into the individual amino acids, and that usually happens kind of in your small intestine. And then your body will start to recombine them and then ship them off into the bloodstream to where they're needed. So if you just worked out really hard and you lifted a lot of weights, you just tore a lot of muscle tissue. And so your body's going to ship off the right protein and the right amino acids that it needs to kind of repair and rebuild that tissue that's there. So yeah, I think that's kind of cool that anytime if you just ate, picture all those amino acids are reacting and kind of relinking together for you. On a food label, you might see the term essential written out. Your body on its own can make 11 of the 20 amino acids. So there are 9 that your body can't make. And it is very important that you eat those 9. And that's why we call them essential amino acids. They are essential to your diet. And if you don't eat them, your body's going to do whatever it can to try to get those to you. So that may mean it starts to eat away at its muscle tissue. That may mean your hair kind of stops growing as it should. And so that's where, to kind of keep your reactions working properly, you need to take in the 9 that are there. I will tell you, foods that come from animals have all of those 9 together. So if you eat a piece of chicken, we call that food source is called a complete protein because it has those 9 amino acids that you can't make. Foods that don't, we call them incomplete proteins. So that would be things like any vegetable. There are some plant-based proteins. I know quinoa has all 9 amino acids, so that's considered a complete protein. But if you are a vegetarian, in college, I tried to be a vegetarian, and I thought that meant that I could eat a lot of Fruit Loops and Diet Cokes. And so that didn't last and go very well for me. I got pretty sick. But what that does mean is that vegetarians or people that are either thinking of being a vegetarian, you have to do a little bit more research into it to make sure that you're doing it so all your reactions work. So that means a lot of vegans and vegetarians will do what's called food pairing. You'll see people eating a combination of like rice and beans. Both of those are incomplete protein sources, but when you eat them together, you're getting all 9. Same thing with like pasta and tomato sauce. That is considered to be a complete protein. So it's kind of a matter of where you're getting your sources of protein, but just know it's important that we do take that in for us to function properly. I am going to put some practice just kind of identifying if something's an amino acid and a protein, and then I'm also going to throw some of the fat stuff that we did last week into there, because part of our next quiz and our test is going to be identifying what these structures are kind of based on the functional groups that are there. So that's today's show. Peace.